Sonnenberg here. Today we're going to talk about energy in the biosphere. So here's a little greeting. Hi. So one thing we've talked about is Earth can be considered a closed system, which is basically meaning that all matter inside the Earth is going to remain in the Earth. So it can be open in terms of energy, allowing energy to come in, allowing the sun's radiant energy to project towards the Earth and actually enter the atmosphere. But what we can also look at is a closed system that all matter on Earth, with a few minor exceptions, is going to stay on Earth and cycle throughout Earth. So the energy, though, that Earth is actually going to receive, it's not going to uh, cycle like the matter does. So matter cycles through organisms, which we'll learn about as we talk about different trophic levels. And when we talked about the levels of consumers, the energy is passed on from producers to primary consumers and so on throughout those levels and such, and through various trophic levels it'll be cycled as well. But the energy and the matter, they cycle in very different ways. So what we're bound by is the first and second laws of thermodynamics, and what we're going to do is we're going to discuss those next, just to help identify what they are. So the first law is just basically saying that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So it can only be converted from one form to another, and or it can actually be transferred from one object to another as well. So if I take, and you actually see this a little bit in chemistry as well, a little bit, but basically what we're doing is as we're cycling this energy, we can't create energy, we can't destroy it, but we can transfer it from one organism to another, from one structure or species or structure to another, and such, and we can somewhat alter it, and we can transfer it, and we can convert it somewhat, but we cannot destroy it, and we can't create it because it enters our atmosphere and is utilized within the biosphere. So the second law of thermodynamics states that with every conversion of energy, and this is where we actually are going to get a little bit into uh, food chains and a little bit about food webs and such, and moving up through the various trophic levels there, is that with each conversion of energy, what's going to happen is there's not going to be 100% efficiency. So there's less energy available to do useful work, which means that, for example, a mouse is going to consume grass. Now, if that mouse is consuming grass, I don't think I could draw a mouse, but I'm going to draw this with some feet and a little head, and I think they have ears. And it's consuming the grass here, okay? And you know what? I do know that there's no such thing as blue mice, but you know what? I'm doing this. So it's consuming the grass. So the grass is going to be the producer, and it's going to be the primary consumer. Now, if it's consuming that grass, in the conversion that when it obtains that food or obtains that grass from the producer, which has stored energy from the sun, what's actually going to happen is there's going to be a loss of energy. So not all the energy that it consumes from the producer, or the grass, is going to be useful. Actually, a lot of it's going to end up being used as waste, in terms of maybe it's used or it's lost as waste in terms of heat, also maybe feces, and other, and some stored in tissues and such. So it's not actually used for that mouse to carry through the process of cellular respiration to convert it into usable forms of energy, and to help it move, grow, think, repair, and reproduce. So some of it is, but we call it the rule of 10, and we'll get into that a bit later as well. So the two laws of thermodynamics that I want you to understand, or I want you to know, is one, energy cannot be created nor destroyed, just altered, transferred, and or converted. And then the second law is that in every energy conversion, there is not 100% efficiency. So there will be less energy if we are doing a conversion of energy. There will be less energy available to do useful work. So I'm going to get rid of my little mouse here. Man, that was a good drawing. I'm proud of myself. Now, the consequences of the laws. So basically, as a result, we lose energy as it's passed along the food chain. So when we discuss food chains, you're going to see that along the way, each organism in a higher trophic level in the food chain is going to have to consume more of that particular species, or more, say if we're dealing with producers and primary consumers, we're going to have to deal a large abundance of that, because it's only going to take on about 10% of that. So the general rule is 10% of the energy that's present in one level is only passed on to the next. So if I was to take, for example, a triangle here, and I was to draw, I just drew a straight line straight up. I struggle with drawing. And I go, okay, oh boy, there, and there. Okay, we're going to do this. I'm sorry. So anyways, we're going to say that if I have 100 here, well, only 10% is going to be passed off onto here. So I can cross off a 0. So 10% has been passed up to the next level. And then if I knock off another 0, being the rule of 10, I'm going to be left with 1. So what happens is we only pass on 10% per level on average, of course, but we use the rule of 10 because it is a nice easy number. So this is going to limit the number of trophic levels in an ecosystem to 5 or fewer, because what would happen if we were to raise that level based on the rule of 10 is that we'd just basically run out of a percentage. There wouldn't be anything left. So here, if we were to say this was measured in kilojoules, the 100, the 10, and the 1, well, as we go move through the trophic levels to a higher trophic level, and this might be my producer here, okay, I'll just put producer, and this might be my primary consumer, okay, and this might be my secondary, okay, just for as an example to show. So as producers, there's a much larger amount in terms of, and when we talk about ecological pyramids, so pyramids of biomass, we're going to see, and pyramids of number, we're going to see very similar, that there is a much larger biomass. There is also a much larger number in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, and such. Okay, so anyways, this is a little bit about energy in the biosphere. Okay, so we understand the two laws of thermodynamics that are going to come into play. We're also going to understand the consequences of these laws due to the rule of 10, or the law of 10, where only 10% of the energy is passed on as usable energy for the species to utilize in terms of growing, thinking, moving, reproducing, and repairing its body. So hopefully this helps. And next screencast is going to be on food chains, food webs, and how energy is transferred throughout the biosphere now. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.